Okay, excuse me, round 12 is up. We're going to go back to our lavender yarn, which means we're going to connect up to these lavender front posts that we did before, or lavender overlay stitches. This time we're doing front post stitches. So you want to join in the first stitch of an increase. It's sort of our standard go-to. And here's an increase right here. Took me a second to find one, sorry. So join in the first stitch. And that counts as our first single crochet. We're going to do 3 single crochet for this first part. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do a front post double treble to go around this lavender one down here. So double treble part, let's start with that. That just means we're going to yarn over 3 times instead of 2. 2 for me just wasn't giving me enough yarn. If 2 works for you, go for that, but try 3 to begin with. Front post means that we're going to come down here and go from right to left just around that overlay stitch and use that to secure this long double treble. So you just go around, draw up a loop, and finish your stitch. So that was 1, 2, 3, and the double treble means we do 4 of them. So that's what we get here. Like I said, I needed that extra yarn over to get the yarn here. You want to make sure that your stitch ends so that it looks like it's in line with all the other ones from this round. So you don't want it pulling in really tight, and you don't want it somewhere way out here. You want it to look like it's right in line with everything else. So there's our front post double treble. We're going to skip the stitch behind it and finish out this repeat with 8 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if the count is right, which hopefully it is, you notice my next stitch is ready to go into the increase from the last round. So perfect. This is what we're looking for our repeat. So first off, a note about tension. Like I said, you want to make sure that these overlay stitches end in line with the single crochets. So if it's really baggy and it looks huge and loose, instead of yarning over 3 times for the stitch, yarn over twice, do a treble. If the 3 isn't working and it's really pulling down, it'll sort of squish down in here like this, then go ahead and yarn over 4 times. It does not matter how many times you yarn over, you just want to make sure it's enough to let the stitch come up and line up as best it can with all the others. So that's true on this round and any other of the overlay stitch rounds that we do. So we join here, first stitch of an increase, start with 3 single crochet, then a front post double treble. So here I found 3 yarn overs. Yarning over 3 times worked the best for the tension. Skip 1 stitch behind it, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches after. You may notice there are no increases in this round. We're going to end up with the same number of stitches around that we had the last round to help it lie a little more flat. Every once in a while we do that. So no increases here. There's your count. Go ahead and do it 8 times, and then next up I think we start connecting up the stitches to these front posts down here. Round 13 is up, and we're going to go back with the magenta yarn and connect up to these trebles down here, those overlay stitches. So this is nice. We're going to end up actually crossing over the lavender ones here, but the easy cross where this one just goes over it and they naturally cross. We don't have to try to go underneath anything. We save that for later. We will be doing it, but just not this time. This time is the easy crisscross. So we're going to join in one of the front post stitches. So grab any of these lavender stitches here. Those front posts will join right in there. That chain counts as our first single crochet, and we're going to have 6 to begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next up is the increase, because we do have an increase in this round. So we'll do 2 in 1 stitch, that's our increase. And then we've got 3 more single crochet before we have our front post stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. So we have our front post stitch here. You notice we got a couple before the lavender front post. So we're going to do a double treble again. So yarn over 3 times. We're just going to come over this one, go around the magenta treble down there, that overlay stitch, draw up a loop, and finish your double treble just like you would a normal stitch. So done. And you notice these cross over each other just naturally the way we want them to. So we're going to skip this stitch and finish out our repeat with just 1 single crochet. And you notice I'm ready to start my next repeat in the front post stitch right there, that lavender one. So this is what the repeat looks like. You got it right here. You're noticing these guys are going to start crossing over each other. Soon we're going to fill in the gap between them. So we start in one of the front post stitches. We have 6 single crochet, then our increase, followed by 3 single crochet, and our front post double treble. So yarn over 3 times for this one. That should give you plenty of yarn to have your stitch line up with all the single crochet. Make sure you skip the one behind there and then do your last single crochet in the stitch before the lavender front post. That becomes the first stitch for the next repeat. So there is your repeat. You need it 8 times total, and then for the next one we start using the variegated yarn. Alrighty, got the variegated yarn here. Got a lot of it, in fact. I just got it everywhere. This is the one I'm going to connect for the next round. If you have a variegated yarn, go with that. Otherwise, pick a color that's just going to be an accent color we use a couple of times. Anything that's different from what we've got on here works fine. And I'm going to go ahead and join in, see, I'll twist it one more, on the front post stitch here. There's nothing crazy with these stitches in this round. It's just some single crochet and an increase. That's it. So that's why it's just a pop of color. You can really use any color you want. We're going to have 11 single crochet to start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then we have our increase. So 2 in the same stitch, and then we end with just 1 single crochet. That brings us to our next front post stitch and the start of our next repeat. So here it is. Like I said, this is just sort of a simple stitch all the way around. Join in a front post stitch. We're going to have 11 single crochet, an increase, and 1 single crochet to finish it out. So 8 times around, and then we get a new bunch of overlay stitches where we start sort of filling in these little gaps. So we are on round 15, and we're going back to the green yarn here, and we're going to do some new overlay stitches. We're not going to connect up to either of these because these are going to continue with their own colors up. We're actually going to start some new ones between the two that's going to fill in a little space we're creating here. So you want to find one of the increases. Let's go over here. Where have I got an increase? Here's one. Sometimes with the variegated yarn they're a little hard to see. So you want to start in the first stitch of the increase. That chain is going to count as our first single crochet, and the first bunch we have is 4 total. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet. Now we're going to do the overlay stitches, treble crochet, and what we're going to do is go into this green front loop that's just visible between the 2 front post stitches. So if you sort of move those out of the way, you should see a green stitch there. We're going to go into that front loop. So treble crochet, yarning over twice seems to work here and give you enough yarn. So yarn over twice, go ahead, grab that front loop and finish the stitch. Now we're going to do it again into the exact same front loop. So 2 treble crochet into the same green front loop there. Since we did 2 stitches here, we're going to need to skip 2 stitches there. And now we'll have 4 single crochet on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our increase. So 2 in the same. And now to finish it, to get back to the increase here, to start our next repeat, 3 single crochet. And you see my next stitch is ready to go in the increase. So we got the repeat done right. And here it is. We're going to join in the first stitch of an increase and start with 4 single crochet. Next up, you need 2 overlay stitches into this front loop, and you can see these. I don't know if you can notice it there. This is pulling a bit here and this is pulling a lot. So I did 2 treble crochet because that's what's worked for me. If that is not enough yarn, you may have to yarn over 3 times and do double trebles. But see if the treble works. If it's too tight, loosen your tension for the next one, see if that works, and if not, start throwing the extra yarn over in there. So I may do that as I continue on with this round. So 2 treble or double treble crochets here, skip the 2 behek there. And both of these again go into that green front loop visible between the 2 overlay stitches. So we do 2, we skip 2, 4 single crochet, bring us to our increase, and after that we've got 3 more single crochet. So 4 singles, 2 trebles into the front loop, skip 2, 4 single, increase, 3 single crochet. That's the repeat. Go ahead and do it 8 times all the way around.